Bitcoin is the first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoins are digital coins you can send through the internet. Compared to other alternatives, Bitcoins have a number of advantages. Bitcoins are transferred directly from person to person via the net, without going through a bank or clearinghouse. This means that the fees are much lower, you can use them in every country, your account cannot be frozen, and there are no prerequisites or arbitrary limits.
Bitcoin. It sounds like something out of a science fiction novel. A digital currency that's not controlled by any central authority and whose value is not tied to any precious metal. How does it work? Is this the future of currency or just an academic exercise? Here with more details is Jerry Brito, Senior Research Fellow at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University in Virginia. Jerry, it's a pleasure. Welcome here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so what is Bitcoin and how does it work? We saw the little video that you gave us, but give us the next level of explanation.
Well, Bitcoin, as the video said, is the world's first completely decentralized virtual currency. And what that means is that unlike other virtual currencies we've seen in the past, there is no central bank, no central authority, no corporation behind it. And what this means is really two things. Number one, because there's no central bank, the bank can't just choose to make more Bitcoin, print more money, and therefore artificially inflate the currency. The second aspect of it is because there is no central bank, and actually no intermediary whatsoever, it means that if the government wanted to shut it down, wanted to prevent you from conducting a transaction, they have nowhere to go. It's like cash. It's untraceable. It's basically anonymous.
All right. Does this go on as we speak? Are people in Florida selling goods to people in London, and are they being paid in Bitcoin?
Absolutely. There are dozens and dozens of vendors that accept Bitcoin. There is a restaurant that is a Mediterranean restaurant right there in New York City that accepts Bitcoin. I know that the Howard Johnson near Disneyland in California accepts Bitcoin. So it's something that is right now still getting off the ground, and there are very few vendors that accept it, which is, sort of a chicken and egg problem. But yes, absolutely, It's something that's happening right now.
What does the government say about this, Jerry? I mean, doesn't the government claim an utter and total and absolute monopoly on the means of exchange?
Well, it's interesting. The government really hasn't said much about Bitcoin per se. Charles Schumer, Senator Schumer from New York, a couple months ago, requested an investigation into an internet website that was anonymized and sold. Basically, it's an eBay for drugs and guns and other illicit materials that use Bitcoin as the means of exchange. And so rather than simply only going after the folks who are selling the illicit materials, he also suggested that we should investigate and perhaps ban Bitcoin. And I know that the FBI is looking into that. But there really isn't anything that would prohibit Bitcoin. It's a bit of a legal gray area, but the only laws that exist against private currencies are to prevent fraud, to prevent you from getting a piece of currency that looks like a dollar.
Got it.
Bitcoin does not look like a dollar. It's its own thing.
Got it. All right. So we wouldn't have to pay sales tax anymore. So Herman Cain's 999 wouldn't work because the government would not know if I bought a toothbrush or a car via Bitcoin.
Well, it's interesting. It's the same situation you have with cash. Hopefully, you would think that even if somebody like Amazon.com were to accept payment in Bitcoin, that they would collect the sales tax due for their estate.
Let's say I wanted to do this. I mean, how would I start? How would I get a Bitcoin account? At some point, do I have to give them cash or gold or something of value in order to amass this stash of Bitcoins?
Well, the first thing you do is you can go to bitcoin.org, and you'd find lots of information there about how to get started. But yes, there are two ways you can get Bitcoin. One is just like you would buy yen or euro or any other currency, you could just trade in some dollars for some Bitcoin. And there are several Bitcoin exchanges online that will do that for you. The other way you can get Bitcoin is by mining it, essentially. Just by being part of the Bitcoin network, which is a peer-to-peer network, you're contributing your computer's computing resources to the network. And as a result of that, every once in a while, you would get some Bitcoin just for your efforts.
All right. Now, I want you to make me this promise. When you come to New York City, you and I will go to this Italian restaurant that accepts Bitcoin. Can we do that?
Absolutely. I'll get my iPhone and we'll do it.
All right. Jerry Brito, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. If it looks like a bubble, sounds like a bubble, and feels like a bubble, it's probably a bubble. Unless you're talking about gold. Financial advisor Bill Fleckenstein is next with why the skyrocketing value of gold is no mistake and no bubble.